What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, Facebook? I appreciate y'all so much. I'm going to just pin something here on Facebook if I can to top. And then we're going to watch a clip of Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer, talking about two things that are very interesting. Hold on. Let me see if I can pin it real quick. Oh my gosh, this is so difficult. I did it. This is what happens when you edit your own videos. You got to pin stuff to the top yourself, but we got it pinned on Facebook. You guys got to see these clips because I can't say this stuff. I'm not allowed to. We live in, once again, some sort of medical tyranny, Black Mirror episode, hospital zone, that never ends. So I don't really have the freedom of speech on these platforms to tell you the truth 2 years in advance. They usually give me warnings, demonetize my channel, cut my reach. We're still winning. We're still out here about to hit 1 billion minutes watched all time, but whatever. I want you to hear the CEO of Pfizer say it because I'm not going to say it. It's not my product. It's not my company. He's the one with the sauce. You know what I'm saying? He's the one with all the money, the power, the mRNA vaccine. So I'd rather just let him talk because if anybody knows me, there's a few people I really like. One of them, this is not a promotion. I didn't get paid to do this, but growing up, this inspired me to be a rapper. I like Where the Sidewalk Ends. I used to love rhyming. Shout out Shel Silverstein. I love Shel Silverstein. I love John Stockton because he was good at passing the ball and he wore short shorts, not just a basketball icon, but a fashion icon. Nobody rocked the short shorts like John Stockton. Shel Silverstein, John Stockton, and Albert Bourla. These are just three of my heroes. The CEO of Pfizer just saving the planet with his, humble, business activism. Let's just jump right into it and listen to what he says. And real quick, pinned to the top, my song is #1 on all of iTunes songs. It's #2 on the hip hop charts of iTunes. We're going to hit the Billboard charts thanks to your help. Thank you to the Hodge twins, Jack Bosabic, Harrison Smith. I saw a lot of people sharing and promoting this. Everybody that shared it, thank you guys so much. Thank you, everybody buying for 99 cents. We're going to hit the Billboard charts because of you, possibly #1. That would be crazy from an independent artist that just makes Facebook and YouTube videos. But let's listen to Albert Bourla talk about the vaccine real quick. All right.
And we know that the 2 doses of the vaccine offer very limited protection, if any. The 3 doses with a booster, they offer reasonable protection against hospitalization and deaths. Against deaths, I think very good. And less protection against infection. Now, we are working on a new version of our vaccine, the 1.1, let me put it that way, that will cover Omicron as well. And of course, we are waiting to have the final results. The vaccine will be ready in March. It's very high probability.
Real quick, there's more stuff. Let's just roll that back because, man, there's millions of people that have the 2 shots. This is not what I say. I wouldn't say this. This is what Albert Bourla, thank you. We got 5,400 people here on Facebook, almost 700. We got almost 6,000 something people total. Thank you guys for being here. Albert Bourla on what he thinks about people that got 2 shots of the vaccine. Let's listen. He says it's.
And we know that the 2 doses of the vaccine offer very limited protection, if any.
They offer very limited protection, if any. Could you imagine getting 2 shots, doing what you're told, and then listening to the CEO say, if you have 2 shots, it offers very limited protection, if any? I don't say this stuff. I'm not qualified to say this stuff. I'm not allowed to say this stuff. But this is the CEO of the guy who made the product telling you about what he thinks about it.
And we know that the 2 doses of the vaccine offer very limited protection, if any. The 3 doses with a booster, they offer reasonable protection against hospitalization and deaths. Against deaths, I think very good. And less protection against infection. Now, we are working on a new version.
A new version. We got a new, don't worry, folks. Version 1, we'll talk about it still, but version 1.1 coming soon. Listen.
For vaccine, the 1.1.
1.1.
That way. That will cover Omicron as well. And of course, we are waiting to have the final results. The vaccine will be ready in March. It's very high.
All right, I have to say this real quick, and then you thought that was bad. Just wait till you hear what he said next. That was on, I believe, Yahoo Finance. This is on the Squawk Pod. It's a CNBC podcast. It just came out today, and it's official. I checked it out. I looked it up myself. It's real. It's him. It's on the podcast. I do my research. But he says we're going to do a 1.1, a new vaccine for Omicron. Here's just my question. This is a humble, citizen question from Anomaly. Are you considering that by the time you finish, this is just a curious scientific question. Are you concerned, Albert Bourla, by the time you make a 1.1 version for Omicron, that there might be a new variant? Is that of any concern to anybody at Pfizer, Moderna, any of these companies? I'm just wondering, because my prediction, although I don't want to make a prediction, but in general, it's like they're going to spend all this time on an Omicron vaccine. Possibly, if it's anything like Delta, Omicron, we've noticed something happening. There's different variants coming up every year so far. Maybe this winter a new one will come up. I'm not saying for sure. I don't want to make a broad claim, but are you even considering that? Because I just foresee this future of like they make this Omicron vaccine, they give it to everybody, a new variant comes like Delta and Omicron, and then they act like they didn't even think of that. It's like Omicron's railing through everybody right now, and then he's like working on a vaccine. Is there anybody at Pfizer that's even 1% concerned that by the time you finish this new Omicron vaccine, that there might be a new variant along? I don't know that that's going to happen for sure, but if it does happen, remember that I said it here first, and apparently nobody at their company was even remotely thinking about it. Just like when Delta hit, who would have known that Delta could have hit? Who would have known that there were variants and mutations? No one could have predicted this. I mean, it's not our fault. It's just, we just got caught by surprise. Okay, but at what point is it not surprising anymore? It's like people that are still wearing masks. Like, can you believe we're still doing this? Like, yeah, I can. It's not surprising. You don't have to like it, but it's not surprising anymore. So I'm just curious. That's the first thing I thought of, besides the fact that he was talking about the 2 shots. It's like, we're working on an Omicron one. Are you even remotely concerned that it might be a different one coming? All right, let's listen to him on CNBC talk about the safety profile of the new shots and why they're working on a different version. I can't say this, but apparently he can because he's the CEO of Pfizer. Listen.
Capabilities of delivering a solution to an unmet need, not because the current zoster vaccines are not effective, but they don't have the safety profile that we hope we can achieve.
He said they're working on he's talking about the new vaccine they're working on, not because they're not effective, but they don't have the safety profile that they could hope for. Let's listen again, because you're not allowed to say this. I'm certainly not allowed to say this. I would think that maybe he shouldn't be allowed to say this because these are safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective, safe. I mean, could they possibly be more safe? To me, it's like it's the safest thing in the world. It's like, like this is like how they're pitching it to everyone. It's like you can't even question it at all. It's the greatest thing ever. It's the greatest achievement ever. It's so great. It's the greatest thing. Don't even ever question any part of it. The efficacy, the safety. It's just great, 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 great. That's all you hear. And then he goes on and he's like, we're working on a new one, because the safety profile is not quite where we, listen to his own words. I don't want to put words in his mouth.
High probabilities of delivering a solution to an unmet need, not because the current zoster vaccines are not effective, but they don't have the safety profile that we hope we can achieve with this technology. But they
don't have the safety profile we hope to achieve with this technology. Really? What safety profile did you hope to achieve with this technology? Because I was told you reached the highest level of standards, but now you're telling me that there's apparently a higher level that you're working on. Let's listen to it one more time, and then let's roll it out and hear how Albert Bourla of Pfizer is partnering with gene editing technology as well in the future. Interesting stuff, man. Let's roll it back. Listen to what he says again, because I was told that this is just the top of the top, and they're going to be like, well, it's the top of the top, but apparently you can go on top of that top of the top of it, according to him. Let's see.
Already in March. There's very high probabilities of delivering a solution to an unmet need, not because the current zoster vaccines are not effective, but they don't have the safety profile that we hope we can achieve with this technology. But it is not only the infectious diseases that matter. There are other applications that they can help. So there are 3 more deals that we have announced. A very important one with Beam. Beam is a leader in the base gene editing technology. We did a lot of due diligence, and we believe that the base technology is the technology that has the most promise in gene editing. And right now we have partnered with them to deliver 3 targets.
3 targets for gene editing, folks. Man, this is going to be fun, From COVID mRNA vaccine to partnerships with gene editing. Man, I can't wait. I mean, I always wanted to be. You ever hear that song? I wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I was a baller. Maybe my guy can just, you know what I'm saying, shift me up real quick. I could be like Yao Ming jamming on these haters. I'm just kidding. Fact check, you know, these can't do that. They can't make you taller. It's just a joke. Lighten up, Jen Psaki. Lighten up, Facebook fact checkers. Thank y'all. We have over 7,500 people here between Facebook and YouTube. Thank y'all for joining in. It's just unbelievable what he said about the 2 shots and then what he said about the safety profile. And now they're working on gene editing technology. Good for him. I hope he makes $10 trillion and gets to, you know, hang out with Jeff Bezos and just, you know, hang out with babes on like blow up floats in the ocean. He deserves it. Alec, what's his name? Albert Bourla. He's a hero.
The CDC.
All right, now I want to show y'all real quick because now you can see Jake Tapper, the CDC. They're all saying what me, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, people that they were calling conspiracy theorists 2 years ago. Just watch the clip. This is a little minute video I made. You got Susan Wojcicki. I'm sorry, excuse me. That's the CEO of YouTube. My bad. I'm talking Rachelle Wolanski. She's talking about comorbidities. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I want to kind of extend on it.
Director is finally making this info transparent.
The overwhelming number of deaths, over 75%, occurred in people who had at least 4 comorbidities. So really, these are people who were unwell to begin with.
75% had 4 or more comorbidities. In 2020, we showed people this clip of Dr. Ezike, the director of Illinois' Department of Public Health.
Technically, even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death.
For the record, Elon Musk was trying to tell people this on Joe Rogan's podcast in 2020.
If you're ill at all, it's like you could be covered. So just to give you better information, definitely diagnosed with COVID or had COVID-like symptoms. We're conflating those two so that it looks bigger than it is. Then if somebody dies, was COVID a primary cause of the death or not?
So,
all right, we're going to listen to Jake Tapper pretty much say what we said 2 years ago. So that I just want to tell you, Rachelle Wolanski's video is from recently. She's now saying 75% of people dying of COVID. I don't know where that data is from, if it's statewide or nationwide. I'm not quite sure of the context. I'm guessing nationwide, but I'm not 100% sure. 75% of the deaths, she's saying, are 4 or more comorbidities. 4 or more. This is not new information. The woman that was saying, well, if you die of something else and you had COVID, you died of COVID in our records. That lady, her name is Dr. Ezike. She is the public health director. I forget the exact title. It's like director of public health. I said it in that video for Illinois. She's a bigwig. And she said this in 2020. I just want to show y'all real quick because this is just a little timeline. I'm going to show to Facebook and I'm going to show it to YouTube. This is actually Elon Musk responding to my video of Dr. Ezike from Illinois in April of 2020. He said, would be helpful to distinguish deaths caused by COVID versus unrelated COVID. So this was Elon Musk and myself. Ready? He said, would be helpful to distinguish deaths caused by COVID versus unrelated COVID. So I tweeted that video of Dr. Ezike saying what Rachelle Wolanski and Jake Tapper are starting to say now. I tweeted that in April of 2020, when we're on lockdown. I'm like, they're not distinguishing from COVID and with COVID. That's kind of a big deal. And then Elon Musk apparently saw it and probably agreed with me and then said something. And then he went on Joe Rogan and said that exact thing on Joe Rogan. And now we're 2 years later. It's 2022. And let's listen to our friend Jake Tapper say exactly what we were trying to say 2 years ago. And we got smeared, censored, cut off before the Trump election, and, treated like animals. And we're still getting treated like animals. That's for a different reason, because everybody's getting treated like an animal. Because apparently when there's Omicron and there's it's time to go back to this and that and get treated like dirt again. But let's listen to Jake Tapper say exactly what we said now 2 years ago.
The hospitals are still stretched thin because of this. So I'm not trying to take away from that. But if 40% in some hospitals, 40% of the people who have COVID don't necessarily have problematic COVID. They're there because they got in a car accident. They're there because, they bumped their head. And they're being included as in the hospital with COVID. That number seems kind of misleading.
Yes, Jake. Yes, Jake Tapper at CNN. Yes, it does seem misleading. It absolutely seems misleading. If somebody's in the hospital because of a car accident and they test positive with COVID, and then they're diagnosed as COVID-19 positive, and then God forbid they die, that's counted as a COVID-19 death. Yes, Jake Tapper, that's very misleading. The only problem is it took your news station and these people apparently 2 years to say that to your people. But here's the difference. This is why I sleep good at night. Besides the fact that I got a nice mattress, I'm not broke anymore. I spent, a couple grand on a mattress. I'm not sleeping on no aluminum foil anymore. The kids got, I'm sleeping good. And this is not a My Pillow commercial, because Mike Lindell has yet to pay me off with the pillow industrial complex. He's trying to buy everybody off. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, jokes aside, mattress is real. I do sleep better than I ever have. But anyway, I sleep good at night because my audience knows all this stuff. We've been telling the truth about everything since 2020. So whether people in my audience got vaccinated or not, everybody feels in the know of what's going on. And we're not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to scare people who got the vaccine. I'm not trying to scare people who didn't get the vaccine. I'm trying to keep everybody calm, strong, healthy, beat this thing mentally, physically, etc. And your audience is probably freaking out, Jake Tapper, because I'm starting to see the tweets now. You told them this narrative, be afraid, it's all bad, children, blah, 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 ramping up this hate, ramping up this fear. And now all of a sudden you're trying to feed them the narrative that myself, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, and right-wingers have been saying, and health, holistic coaches, etc. You're telling your audience what we told them in 2020, except your audience has 2 years of you telling them the opposite. So they don't know how to handle it. You got CNN watchers and Democrats freaking out now because they don't know what's true, what you're telling them now or what you told them then. You told them what the opposite a million times, so they believe what you used to say. And now they're mad that you're saying what we said. So your audience is like, what's going on? Why? And like our audience is like, yeah, we knew that in May of 2020. Like we heard that from like 15 different news segments. It's not like I'm the only one saying it. A lot of people who've been accurate and honest about this stuff. So I feel great. We're not confused by any of this, but your audience is probably like freaking out. Let's listen to Sanjay Gupta. I like to say Sanjay Gupta that way. Gupta, that's how you put some respect on this name. You get into it. You get some, God bless the Gupta family. But let's listen to what he has to say.
Yeah, I agree, Jake. It surprises me that they have not been able to parse out that data more carefully. I think the data that Dr. Olinsky is quoting is from New York State, and we've been following that data as well. And I can show you what we've seen, sort of tracks with what she said. But out of all the patients that are in the hospital, about 57%, these are COVID patients, admitted because of or complications from COVID, 43% admitted for other reasons and then diagnosed with COVID. I think, there needs to be transparency about that in terms of for or with COVID.
Yeah, dude. Totally.
The only thing I will tell you, Jake, again, working in the hospital, is that at the time someone is then diagnosed with COVID, even if they didn't come in for that reason, it does take up a lot of resources then in terms of infection protocols, personal protective equipment, more testing, all that kind of stuff.
All right. So I want to use, he's like trying to like balance the narratives. I just want to use his logic and we'll let him talk, because Jake Tapper actually says something really funny at the end. But Gupta's like, yeah, no, I agree with you, Jake. We should be transparent. We should have that data. He's like, but to be fair, when someone tests positive for COVID, they're using a lot of resources. Now they need more protocol. They need more masking. They need more testing. But think about what he's saying. And then he's going to keep saying it. It's not like, oh my God, they're dropping dead. So, we don't have, it's like, oh no, now we need the mask. Now we need the more tests. Now we need this. It's like, that was a decision. And I'm not saying it was the right or wrong decision, because only time will tell, but that was the decision that the hospitals made. This is not the first infectious disease we've ever had on planet Earth, although it might have been different. There was never these type of procedures ever. We've never done this much testing. We've never done this much masking. It's not happened. So as much as he's saying, well, that makes it all right, or that makes it kind of right, it's like, at the end of the day, was this all worth it? Were running resources dry to in my opinion, overreact, but maybe in your opinion, properly react? When it's all said and done, was it worth it? Were the lockdowns worth it? Was the masking worth it? Was forcing extra masks on everybody worth it? Was freaking out over PCR tests worth it? Was, running short on resources by choice and by policy, not by you had to do it or they were going to die? It's like, no, that's your policy now. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And if you don't follow those procedures, you can't work in the hospital. This was a decision made. I don't know if it was state or locally, but the health officials of some sort came together and said, if someone has COVID, you put them here. If someone has COVID, you give them this. If someone has a car accident, you give them a test. This was never done for any other infectious disease. And I'm not saying it's the same just so the fact checkers don't freak out and have a freaking, myocarditis over this. Just kidding. But in general, it's like, this was this new policy that you guys have created. And when it's all said and done, it just sounds to me like you sound like what I said in 2020. That's all I'm saying.
So even though that may not have been the initial impetus to bring him in the hospital, it just requires a lot of energy and resources on behalf of the hospital staff and the testing and all that sort of stuff. So we need to get better about being able to see this data. New York State, I think, is one of the few states that's presenting it that way for or with COVID, but other states should follow suit. The American Health Association says they have a hard time sort of separating out that data, but clearly New York State's been able to do it. Other states.
I want to play the Jake Tapper part real quick, but he's saying, okay, they've told you our health experts are so great. They're just so good. They're just the best. Don't question them. It's been almost 2 years, almost 2 full years. And the American Heart Association is having trouble sifting through the data because according to Gupta, New York State's doing it properly, but all the other states aren't doing it properly. And they should, separate out who's really there with COVID and who's really there because of COVID and who just tested positive with like 4 other comorbidities. He's admitting it's 2 years in, and the American Heart Association is having trouble going through that. Is this not incompetency? Is this not a failure? You guys took trillions of our taxpayer dollars. You printed trillions of dollars. You basically caused inflation, lied about it with your press sources. And then once inflation came, you're like, nobody would have known. The Economist is running these stupid freaking articles like, we had no idea. Their name is The Economist, and they didn't know inflation was coming. They gaslighted everybody about it for a year, and then it came, and they're like, we were stunned by inflation. You printed like more money than has ever been printed in modern history, like 40% or something of all US dollars. You're just printing. Where did all that money go? You didn't have money to hire 100 people at an accounting firm to do this data? Failure. You cry and say, Ron DeSantis, oh my God, it's the misinformation. You guys have trillions of dollars. We're making news out of a freaking podcast studio or our apartments running circles around you because you're incompetent. This is why people want smaller government and less taxes, because you guys blow through it. You guys spent tens of trillions of dollars, and what do you have to show for it? Apparently, Sanjay Gupta on CNN finally admitting what I said 2 years ago, while admitting that the American Heart Association is having trouble looking through the data because it doesn't even separate it properly. You guys suck. And I'm not blaming Sanjay Gupta because it's not his fault what the government did, but it's like they suck. They suck at their job. They suck with all the money. They suck out of us. And then they blame us, and then they suck more money out of us. They suck. Literally, I'm not like cursing. It's like, what does Kirby do? Kirby sucks, literally. Have you ever played like, Super Smash Bros. Or Kirby? What does Kirby do? He's like a little fat, or what should I say, large character. He's like a round, rotund character. Kirby's a little pink video game character, and he just sucks things up. That's what he does. Kirby sucks. You suck up our money. You suck up our resources. You suck up our taxpayer dollars. You suck up our constitutional freedom. You suck. You literally suck. And then the more you suck, the more you blame us. Stop blaming us, you sucky suckers. Just being accurate. All right, let's listen real quick.
It should do it as well.
Yeah, we're 2 years into this, and we need the clearest picture possible. If somebody's in the hospital with a broken leg and they also have asymptomatic COVID, that should not be counted as hospitalized with COVID, clearly.
We've been saying that for 2 years, Tapper. Where the heck have you guys gone? Now Brian Stelter's doing these like little things. They're like, we are losing support, guys. I'll play the clip. I don't have the video clip, but we'll listen to audio. They're finally admitting on CNN that they're losing support. It's like, yeah, you are. I wonder why. Is it everyone else's fault? Like, they're like, the public's not listening to us because they found better resources. Here it is. This is Oliver Darcy, I think, on CNN, Brian Stelter. They're like, is the media out of touch? And he's like, yeah, it seems that way. This is CNN. Let's listen. It's pretty funny.
Question for you, okay? Is the media at this point out of touch with the public about COVID?
Is the media out of touch?
I think it's hard to argue that, the media is a large group of people, but a lot of the media does seem, when I look at it and then travel the country, to be very out of touch with people. I mean, if you travel the country, people are not really living in the same bubble that it seems that most of the media is messaging toward.
Right.
And so, yeah, and so I think this is an issue because if people are tuning out what's going on in cable news, if we're not messaging toward the general population, they're just, ignoring everything and living their lives. And we're not really getting the information that they need.
They're like, are we out of touch? And he's like, it does seem that way, Brian. It does seem like we're out of touch. It's like, yes, but it's not everyone else's fault. This is the part that annoys me so much. I don't care if the government sucks. I mean, it's annoying because you guys just like ruin everything. But if you suck at CNN, I don't care. I don't watch CNN. If you suck at Fox News, I don't care. I don't watch Fox News. I don't run around trying to make everybody do what I do. I don't care what you do. Just leave me alone. But the more money they suck out of us, the more they blame us. They're like professional leeches in the government. It's like they suck our money, they suck our freedom, they suck it all out, and then they blow it. They don't have even like accurate data as far as separating things that should have been separated 2 years ago. We tell you for 2 years to do it. NPR is a partly tax-funded news source that apparently they're stealing my money on a state and federal level. They steal my money through taxes. And then NPR, the state-funded or the government partially funded news source, writes freaking stupid articles about me. It's like you're stealing my money and then smearing me. And then Chelsea Clinton's tweeting about it and, calling Tucker Carlson a conspiracy theorist. And I'm so horrible. It's like, this is where my taxpayer money's going. So some like lowbrow person at NPR writes this goofy article about me. He's like, this conspiracy theorist is the #1 post on the Johnson & Johnson. They don't even explain. They gaslit so hard in their article. They didn't even explain to their audience that the #1 Johnson & Johnson post that I had, I beat everybody on Facebook for that link, that it's not even a competition I'm interested in. I posted a CNN article. Literally, I posted CNN. That's what I do. I'm like, y'all said it. Albert Bourla said it. The CEO of Pfizer said it. You can't make this stuff up. He said it. He said it. They were gaslighting their audience into acting like this kooky conspiracy theorist is posting CNN articles that is like mainstream information that you yourself posted. Get a grip. The more they take from us, the more they blame us. It's ridiculous. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you check out those videos. I have them on my Twitter too. The CEO of Pfizer saying that stuff. If you want to copy them, whatever you want to do, I don't care. This information is for the people. Copy it, do a news report on it, screen record it, find the video yourself. I want 0 credit and 100% to be just left alone. So the more people that pass this information, the better. And real quick, we have 1,600 people on YouTube. We have 4,900 people still on Facebook. We had like 8,000 people at one point. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm glad that people care about this topic because it's one of my better ones. But, I don't like to ask for a lot, but this is the last week right now. They're coming up with the Billboard numbers and everybody buying on Amazon and iTunes. I have a song with Bryson Gray called Control. We have no curse words in it. This is a rap song that is totally against the music industry, totally against a lot of rap culture and a lot of these sellout loser pop stars that just run around and sell pharmacy products. Like, we don't play that game. We're totally independent. We do our own stuff. We filmed our own video at Bryson's house. Literally, that's where we filmed it. He edited it. All independent. I just want to say real quick, the iTunes link is in the bio, the description. It's pinned to the top of Facebook. Here's the ranks right now. Thanks to your help, out of every song in the world, we hit #1 in the hip hop category, bestsellers on Amazon, and we're #1 in all categories on Amazon. So out of every digital song on Amazon, which is every song, we are the #1 best-selling song on Amazon right now, out of any song in the world. No label, no management, all by ourselves. Thanks to your help. Not just by ourselves, but people buying it. I'm just saying we don't have like a huge machine behind us. It's just me and Bryson. Now let's go to iTunes. We're #2 on the hip hop charts, and we're number 15, 16, or 17 out of all songs. If we can get #1 on the hip hop charts, which we just need like probably, I don't know how many more downloads or purchases, we have a chance of being the #1 song in the world on the Billboard charts. There's digital sales for all genres and rap. And Ricky Bobby once told me, he's a wise man from Talladega Nights. He said, if you're not first, you're last. And I take that to heart. I like a second place trophy, but I really want to get first. So, it would be cool to be the #2 song on the Billboard digital sales chart. But if you're not first, you're last. And I don't want to come in last. So, if you guys could help me out and get that #1 on Billboard charts, that would be epic. A big middle finger or a big, praise sign to the music industry. All of their wicked, a lot of like satanic messaging they have. They're like, yeah, take a pill, listen to the devil, yeah. And you're just like, what are you guys talking about? Like, there was always evil messages in music, but nowadays it's just like straight overt. It's like, let me make love to the devil on camera. It's like, what? That's gross. Just like, it doesn't make you a hate monger. It's just like, that's weird, bro. Just stop like trying to, sodomize the devil on camera. It's just like, it's an odd vibe. It's not for me. And it's creepy that children are watching that, but whatever, you got to live your life. I'll live mine. But my song with Bryson Gray, Controlled, If we could hit number 1, that would be epic. Thank you guys so much for buying it. 99 cents helps us win the culture war. And I'm going to hang out for probably like 10 minutes or so. Any good questions, any good comments, I'll answer them. I'll try to build off your energy and stuff. And then I'm going to let this slide at like 40 minutes or under because I want people to see it. What's more important, people seeing it, people sharing it. I want people to listen to the CEO of Pfizer. I want people to listen to, Rachelle Wolanski and Jake Tapper now because they're echoing what we can prove that we said in March, April, May, June, July. All right, I'm going to go through the top star senders real quick on Facebook. Joan said, Anomaly, keep telling the truth. Thank you, Joan. I appreciate it. With your help, I will. Clay said, you killing it. Thank you, Clay. Linda, thank you. Steve, thank you. Diane said, people are waking up. We cannot get complacent now. We're winning 2020, folks. Don't manifest negativity. Don't manifest lockdowns, at least in America, but all over the world. We're winning 2022. They want to win the midterm elections. They know that they're down in the polls. They realize that being a doom and gloom hellhole forever is not a popular opinion because who the hell wants to live in misery? Misery loves company. That's why I don't want to hang out with y'all. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just not miserable. So we're winning 2022, folks. We're already winning. We're going to keep winning. They're starting to sound like us because they need some energy going their way to win the midterms election. They're down in the betting odds for the House. They're down in the betting odds for the Senate. And they know it in America. So keep going. It's definitely not time to get complacent. We are absolutely winning because we have the truth on our side. I don't win. You don't win. God wins. The truth wins. So if they keep lying and keep scaring the crap out of people and then like flip-flopping a million times and trying to shut up the PCR test inventor. I did a video on the PCR test inventor. The test that they're using on everybody, I did a video biography on the guy. They deleted it 2 years ago just to tell people about PCR tests, the same exact thing that he said because he invented the damn thing. These people are wicked. Stupid scientists try to censor better scientists. He has a Nobel Prize for inventing the PCR test. They work at Google and Facebook and they work in the government because they've never invented a damn thing in their lives. They're not creative enough. So what do? They use their position of power like a gatekeeper to censor, silence, and demonize Luc Montagnier, Nobel Prize winner for discovering HIV. Kary Mullis, Nobel Prize winner for inventing the PCR test. They use this invention. They have no problem using you. They have no problem using the thing that he discovered and invented, but they don't want you to listen to him. Then just don't use his test then. If you don't want people to listen to him, don't use his invention. These people are gross. Anyway, thank you, Diane. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Sheldon. Said, thanks, Anomaly. Your help opening my eyes. Thank you, Sheldon. God bless you. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Ruth Ann. Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Yar. Thank you, Susie. And I just want to let y'all know, at least on my platform, I can't speak for everybody, but this is just my personal opinion. I see it happening in both categories, but I think it's the minority. The loud minority are the people who got vaccinated who are hating on the unvaccinated. The loud minority is the unvaccinated people who are being very nasty to the vaccinated. I believe personally, maybe I'm naive, maybe I believe in love, but I think the majority of people, vaccinated or unvaccinated, get what's going on, and it's just another thing to divide us. You have left and right. People are fighting over that. You obviously have race and ethnicity that will divide people both naturally and unnaturally with media division and false narratives around it. There's all this division around that. So now you have a new category to divide people where what I'm starting to see is, and it bothers me on both ways. Like I just watched the LA Times, like Pulitzer Prize winner. He's writing an article about how you should shame people who die unvaccinated. It's so evil. But to be fair and to be honest, it's not just unvaccinated people treating vaccinated people that way or vice versa. It's also the other way around. I see a lot of people that got vaccinated that are trying to join the movement of truth and be like, listen, I don't want to live the rest of my life on lockdown. I don't know that I want 1,000 booster shots. And, and then you got a lot of people that didn't get the vaccine that are like, screw you. It's too late. You already got it. It's like, what the hell type of messaging is that? It would be like if someone's like, I was a Democrat my whole life and now I'm a Republican. It's like, screw you, liberal, stay over there. And it's like, bro, if they're seeing the light and they're agreeing with you, you shouldn't try to chase them away. That's what the Democrats have done. If you don't agree with us on everything, you're a right wing. And it's like they're losing people because they're so unlikable. So if you didn't get the vaccine, don't be one of those people that's super nasty to people who did get it. Because the majority of people, at least I believe, either way will be fine. There have been situations in the past and situations where things happen, things get repealed, and whatever the case is, people are going to be fine. Try to have good energy, whether you got it or not. Make sure you get in a positive mindset. And people that got the vaccine, they're not trying to hang around people telling them negative things all the time. And then people who didn't get it aren't trying to hang around positive people that are telling them that all the time. So, stay true to yourself, give the facts, don't be afraid to share stuff about what's going on, but don't treat your neighbor and don't treat your friend like complete dirt and like force them into a place, because that's not healthy. In order to win, in order to get past these mandates, in order to really, get the world functioning again, you're going to need both sides of that equation, a large majority, to come together and say enough is enough. And we already have those numbers, but people are always too busy fighting or complying or just, doing what they're told just to, get another day in society. And it's like, we have the numbers, but people are being so nasty to each other. And I don't co-sign it on either side, because, it's not right. And I think people's mental health is important too. So if you're negatively manifesting this stuff for yourself, it's not good. You got to be in a healthy mindset. But, if people say, hey, I did this, but, I agree with you on mandates, or I agree with you that, I don't feel like getting 7 boosters, that's your ally. You know what I'm saying? That's not your enemy. That's not, oh my God, it's too late, stay over there. That's how you lose, because you're actually the minority now. If 70% of the population got it and you're like, go over there, it's like, that's not smart, and it's also just not nice, in my opinion. But, to each their own. Someone said you need to stand together with Dr. Shiva. I like Dr. Shiva. I mean, I do my own thing, but we've spoken before. I've spoken to Dr. Shiva. We're very similar in some ways. I mean, we're different people, but we have a lot of similar takes about politics, etc. So I like Dr. Shiva. I'm just not standing next to him. Like, he's not right here standing literally next to me. But, as far as his work and his voice, I appreciate him. He's an energetic, innovative, and totally unapologetic American. He's a good American, Dr. Shiva. I like him. I just, I don't know. We do our own things. We'll connect again, though. I promise. We'll talk soon. I like Shiva. Someone said he's educating people on health and awareness. He does a lot of stuff, man. Shiva's a hard worker. He goes hard in the paint, and it's paid off. And he was very early on the Fauci train. Shiva was one of the first people that was like, that Fauci guy, I appreciate him for that. All right, 1 or 2 more questions, and I'm gonna take off. Jimmy Dore anomaly, your opinion? I like Jimmy Dore. I don't agree with his politics. I'm not like, I get he's left wing in policy and stuff, and I feel like he's a little bit naive. However, I think that Jimmy Dore is one of the good ones over there. And anybody, left wing, right wing, I don't care. Anybody that understands the threat of medical tyranny, anybody that understands the threat of mandates and stuff, I consider them an ally. So we could talk about policy later, but if Jimmy Dore is standing up against medical tyranny, and Jimmy Dore does a lot of good reporting on Julian Assange, and he does a lot of good deep diving on the Democratic Party, I like Jimmy Dore. I don't always agree with him. I find him to be naive sometimes, kind of like, Jordan Peterson's not left wing, but Jordan Peterson, like, he's like, I got this thing to be left alone, and I'm not left alone still. Like, he's legitimately mad. I like Jordan Peterson. I really like Jordan Peterson, but it's like, I'm not trying to be mean, because I'm not perfect. I do stupid stuff too, but I find him super naive. It's like, how did you not know this? And it's not a big deal. It's not a competition, but it's like Jordan Peterson's like super mad now because he's like, I did this to comply and you're not leaving me alone. It's like, yes, dude, they're not leaving you alone. It's like, it's just funny, but I appreciate that Jordan Peterson's healthy and happy again and railing against the mandates. That's great to see. But I'm just like, dang, they got you believing that if you listen to them, they'll leave you alone. It's clearly not the case, but it's all good. I just think it's kind of funny. I don't know. As a consumer of news, I'm like, dude, they keep tricking Jordan Peterson. Camden Lacey said the video of that lady in Illinois explaining how they purposely miscount was the first video I ever saw. I immediately subscribed and never looked back. Keep the truth coming. Yeah, that's Dr. Ezike Ngozi Ezike, the Illinois Public Health Department director. I forget her exact title, but appreciate you. Yeah, we played that very early in 2020. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you were there. Someone said Rachelle Wolanski said that 75% died had 4 comorbidities, but in the full clip, it seems she was talking about the 0.003. She said died with both the COVID shots. Could you clear that up? Yeah, I'll have to look at the full clip, but I mean, that's still worth noting. So yeah, if that's what it is, I'll have to try to find the full clip. If that's what it is, that's what it is. Look it up for yourself. Any video clip I do, look for the full context, but I would say that's still pretty noteworthy, whether she's talking about people that died with the vaccine or without the vaccine. Those numbers should be very clear. So, look it up and see for yourself the context of it. For instance, I want to say something real quick about the data out of the vaccinated and unvaccinated, because it's hard to really, fully agree with these people all the time in the CDC, because her and, Jen Psaki, they're really pushing this hardline narrative that, like, if you don't get it, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. It's so bad. And originally, I can't say that they're still doing this now, but you should really look at the 2022 data. The 2022 data is going to be better because at this point, people have gotten the vaccine, although I guess now they're saying that after 6 months, it's not really whatever. So they're probably going to not be truthful about it. But in 2021, they were using numbers like when they fearmonger and say, these numbers are the unvaccinated. It's like, were you doing it from June on or were you doing it from January on? A lot of these data sets, they said from January to whenever the month was. When it was like July, August, they started pushing this crazy narrative that like 95%, if you don't get it. What they weren't telling people was from January, February, March, almost nobody was vaccinated because the vaccine was not widely available yet. So they had skewed data from the get-go because they were using charts of, well, this is the numbers for the whole year, but that would be like saying since the beginning of the pandemic. Since the beginning of the pandemic, 90-something% of people who died were unvaccinated. Well, does that include March 2020, April 2020, May, June, July, all the way until like May 2021 when more people got the shots? So you got to watch what even the data that they give when they say, well, 75% of these people, it's always worth scrutinizing and it's always worth looking further, whether I say it, whether Rachelle Wolanski says it. But even if that is just the vaccinated category, that 75% of the people had 4 or more comorbidities, that's what they're telling you because, they're trying to downplay it. Well, if you got vaccinated, you're good and, we're going to get back to normal and it's not a big deal and they were going to die anyway. It's like, will they do the same thing for unvaccinated people? Will Rachelle Wolanski sit on camera and say, well, for the unvaccinated, out of the people that died, these are how many people had comorbidities. Everything that her, Biden, and Psaki do, they're very, very shifty, where everything, no matter what they're telling you, is leading you in the direction of get this, it's great. If you don't get it, you're going to die or you're pretty likely to die. So they're not going to give you that same type of, honesty. There's always a reason behind it. Why are they telling you what we tried to tell people 2 years ago now? Do they really care about people? Is it really time? Is there an election coming up? Are they in power? Is the political party that they support in power now? It is. So is there a way to point the finger at the president now? There's not. Are they down in the polls for the election? Are they down in the, the betting odds for the election? Why are they so gung-ho about stopping the fear? There was fear driven in people for 2 years, and now they're trying to repeal it back. It's definitely worth considering. But yeah, for sure, as far as the context of that, look it up, research it, see everything. But overall, it still needs to be separated, regardless of the categories. How many people died from it? How many people died with it? How many are you not sure about? How many comorbidities do they have? And please, to the CDC, to Psaki, and all these people, please just be honest. Whichever way it goes, be honest about the difference between people who got the jab and not. Because if you use the data set that's only from a few months, where or I'm saying like January, February, March, you say, well, the whole year these are the numbers. Let's look at the 2022 numbers because now there's a large portion of the population vaccinated. They've already gotten it. Let's see the 2022 numbers because I very closely followed Vermont. Vermont's one of the highly vaccinated states. They're the number one, or they were number one in vaccines at a certain point. I followed their data, and most people dying when I was following it around September, October, November, most people were vaccinated that were dying. But here's the thing. Here's what I'll tell you and be honest about it. Unlike Jen Psaki and Rachelle Wolanski, am I then saying that it's the worst thing in the world? No, because think about it. Most people in Vermont are vaccinated. Most elderly people are vaccinated. So who's dying more than younger people? Elderly people. So if most elderly people are vaccinated and most people who die are elderly in a vaccinated state, of course, the most people who die are going to be vaccinated. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad from that data set. See, I could be honest about it. I'm not just going to be like, oh my God, most of the deaths in Vermont from this period of time are vaccinated, so that means it's so bad. It's like, no, that's to be expected because of the age group. So, that's what I'm willing to do. I'm creeped out whenever I hear Biden, Psaki, or any of these people talk, because they're always trying to curve it towards go get the product, still be afraid, still wear your mask. And if you don't get the product, you're screwed. So they'll give you those numbers and say, well, 75% of the people got the vaccine, they had 4 or more comorbidities. Okay, well, let's look at that same chart for the unvaccinated. Why not? Prove to me that it's a worse number. And then I'll believe it. If you have real data, I'll be like, okay, you're right. Maybe that's good for these people, these people, these people. I still think it should be a choice, but it's always curved to be like, it's so bad not to listen to us. And they don't give us the same transparency for both groups. Just to find the number of people who died, vaccinated and unvaccinated in Vermont, it's not easy. You can't even do it at the government website. They have breakthrough cases. They have the weirdest graphs to the point where I have to look at the last number and then I have to look at the new number and I have to compare them. And then I have to go to a separate website to see how many people died in that period of time to add up the numbers myself. These states are not making it easy. And hopefully that's something that me, Sanjay Gupta, Jake Tapper, and Rachelle Wolanski can all agree on, that 2 years into the pandemic, trillions of dollars wasted, trillions of dollars of economic damage done, billions of people mentally, physically, and psychologically abused from lockdowns, restrictions, forced masking, changing the course of humanity forever. After 2 years of this, the least that we could do is get some better data and understanding of how many people are dying directly from this virus solo, how many people are dying with 4 or more comorbidities, and most importantly, how many people are clearly dying of an alternate cause, clearly, and then you're just marking it down because that's just the type of data that they've been collecting this entire time. That's the most important thing, and hopefully you guys see that. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Thank you guys so much for buying my song for 99 cents. It's helping us run up the charts, and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Stay skeptical. Check this stuff out, and feel free to find that podcast I played, that clip of Albert Bourla at Yahoo News, that Rachelle Wolanski, the full clip in the full context. For all of that, feel free to watch it all, listen to it all. And unfortunately, I don't have time to play 30 minutes on my show. And also, it's actually, they flag you sometimes if you play like 5 minutes. That's why I stop it too, by the way. Not just to be annoying and talk, but because if you play too much of a news clip, sometimes they like flag your video and say you're copying their video. So I try to chop it up. All right. Appreciate y'all. Have a good day. I will be back very soon.